So, you've probably written some code to draw like a square on a screen, right? That's the first step. But what's next? How do you actually make that square move when you click it? How do you go from a static picture to a real interactive app or even a game? Well, today, we are going to pull back the curtain on the professional design pattern that makes all of that happen.
Okay, so on the left, you've got something that probably looks super familiar. A simple command to draw a blue rectangle. It does one thing, it's predictable, it's static. But our goal, that's what's over on the right. We want to build dynamic, interactive apps that actually respond to a user's clicks and keystrokes. And yeah, that gap between the two can feel massive. But don't worry, we're going to bridge it today with one single, powerful idea.
All right, so here's the game plan. We'll start by moving beyond static pictures. Then we'll talk about drawing with a plan. After that, we'll get into making our graphics interactive. This all leads up to the main event, the MVC blueprint. And finally, we'll cover why these rules matter so much. Okay, let's dive into our first section, beyond static pictures. We're going to revisit your CS1 graphics, but with a really important twist.
So, how do we actually do this? Well, it all starts with a plan. Let's talk about drawing with a plan. This is where we lay the foundation, and it's the very first piece of our puzzle, what we call the view.
First thing you got to know, everything we draw is happening on a canvas, and that canvas has its own coordinate system. The origin point, 0, 0, it's not in the middle like in your math class. It's actually tucked away in the top left corner.
And here's the one thing that gets everyone when they're starting out. The x-axis, totally normal. It increases as you go right. But the y-axis is flipped. It starts at 0 at the top, and the numbers get bigger as you go down. You really got to remember this mantra for computer graphics. Up is down. Okay, so where does all this drawing code actually go? Well, it all has to live inside one special function, redraw all. This is the only place drawing is allowed to happen, period. This function is, for all intents and purposes, your application's view.
Now you could just hard code numbers directly into your functions, right? But these are what we call magic numbers, and honestly, they're a terrible habit. When you come back to your code later and see 100, you're going to think, wait, why 100? What does that even mean? Using well-named variables instead just makes your code so much easier to read, and believe me, way easier to update later on.
All right, so we've got a plan for drawing stuff cleanly, but how do we make it interactive? How do we actually change things when the user clicks? This brings us to the next piece of the blueprint, the controller. So how does our app even know a user clicked? It listens for events using special functions called event handlers. The big one we're going to talk about is on mouse press. Every single time the user clicks their mouse, this function runs automatically. And what's super helpful is that it's given the exact mouse X and mouse Y coordinates of where that click happened. Okay, hold on a second. If redraw all only does the drawing, and on mouse press only handles the click, how do they communicate? They can't call each other directly. So what's the secret? It's this central thing called the app object. Think of it like a shared brain for your entire program. We set up its initial values in a function called onAppStart, which runs just once. From then on, this app object holds all the important data for our application. And that is the connection. So when a user clicks, on mouse press does not draw anything. This is super important. Its only job is to reach into that shared app object and change the data. It might say something like, hey, app object, the new left edge of the rectangle is now whatever mouse X is. It just updates the data, and that's it. Okay, let's just pause and take a step back for a sec. We've got a place for our data, the app object, we've got a place for our drawing logic, redraw all, and we've got a place to handle user input, on mouse press. You might not have realized it, but you've just accidentally built one of the most important patterns in all of software development. This is the Model View Controller Pattern, or MVC. So let's break that down. First up, the M, the model. The model is simple. It's all the data your app needs to work. It's the state of your program's world. For us, that's everything we're storing in the app object, like app.recleft. The model is the single source of truth for your entire application. Next, the view. The view. We've already met this one. It's our redraw all function. Its one and only job is to look at the data in the model and draw a picture of it on the screen. And here is the absolute golden rule. The view is read only. It can look at the data, but it is absolutely forbidden from ever changing it. And finally, the C, the controller. These are our event handlers, like on mouse press. the controller's job is to listen for stuff the user does, like clicks or key presses, and in response, its only job is to update the model. It's the bridge between the user's actions and our application's data.
So let's put it all together and trace the whole loop. Step 1, the user clicks the mouse. Step 2, the controller, our on-mouse press function, kicks in and updates the data in the model. Step 3, the instant the controller is done, the system automatically runs the view, our redraw all function, which reads that new data from the model and redraws the screen. It's this constant loop: click, update, draw. That's the heartbeat of every interactive MVC app.
All right, I know what you might be thinking. This feels like a lot of rules, right? Why can't I just draw stuff inside the mouse function? Well, this brings us to maybe the most important part: why the rules matter. This is all about learning to build clean, scalable, professional-level code. And trust me, the advantages are huge. By separating these concerns, you get a much cleaner design. Your drawing code is here, your logic is over there. This separation makes your code scalable, which means you can build way bigger, more complex apps without everything turning into a tangled mess. And this isn't just some theory. This is literally how real-world web and mobile apps are built. So to get all these benefits, you have to follow the golden rules. Rule number 1, you never call the view or the controllers yourself. The system handles that. Rule number 2, controllers only update the model. They are never, ever allowed to draw. And rule number 3, the view can never update the model. Its only job is to read data and draw.
And listen, these are not just suggestions. The framework we use actually enforces them. If you break these rules, if you try to draw from a controller or change data from the view, you'll get what's called an MVC violation. Your whole program will just stop running and throw an error. It literally forces you to write good, clean code.
So there you have it. MVC isn't just a bunch of rules. It's a whole new way of thinking about how to structure your code. It's the blueprint that separates simple scripts from sophisticated interactive applications. It's how the pros do it. So now that you have this blueprint, what are you going to build?